Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Lorraine Jensen, and I'm your host here at the Metaphysical Network for Conscious Living. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with Ross Tayler. Welcome, Ross.
Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning again. Ross will be speaking at the Unitarian Fellowship Hall at 595 Townsite Road on May 15th, and his topic is titled Introduction to Human Design and Embodied Decision Making. Pretty powerful stuff right there. We begin at 7 p.m. and we ask that you bring a $15 donation to cover our costs. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Metaphysical Network and Ross Tayler, and then we'll jump right into his talk. The Metaphysical Network for Conscious Living helps people seeking community, connection, and spiritual development to feel inspired and empowered by providing enlightening experiences through seminars, workshops, podcasts, and conferences. Ross is a relationship guide, and personal coach. His diverse skills are informed by 27 years as a manager in the food service industry. More recently, 8 years were spent in various roles within residential addiction treatment centers. Since 2006, Ross has worked with clients in over 1,200 hours of individual sessions and has facilitated more than 2,500 hours of group work. That's a lot of hours. Ross loves including human design to help people uncover internal patterns shaping their relationships and then empowering lasting positive changes. Good for you. So you may be asking, what is human design? Because I certainly was. And I'll just read you the write-up before I jump into a chat with Ross. So human design is a powerful system for understanding ourselves, our energy, and how we're meant to move through life. In this talk, Ross will walk us through the basics of human design and the various ways that we make decisions from the body, not the mind. Whether you're new to human design or just curious about how to live with more clarity and ease, you'll leave with practical insights. So, I recently had a human design reading, and it was powerful. I gave Ross my age, which I've told him not to share with anybody. Now, my date of birth and where I was born and so forth. And he came back with all this fascinating information about me and how I show up in the world. And it really was spot on. And a huge takeaway for me was to wait for the invitation, to wait for an invitation to rush in and share with everybody all my wisdom and basically tell people what to do. I do it well, but it was like, wow, so much freedom in that. And we actually, Ross and I this morning got to stand together with some other people and watch the sun come up. And it was absolutely amazing, wasn't it?
It
And it
was.
felt in those minutes that we stood there that it was an invitation to something much deeper than I would have been doing had I been sitting at home making a cup of tea. But the invitation was great. And I love this whole invitation piece. It's wonderful. So tell me, Ross, why do you do this?
Oh, that's a great question. So I want to start by saying thank you, Lorraine, for that wonderful introduction and setting us up for this talk. It's great. Why I do this? I think the bottom line is because we all want to know who we are. We all want to know our place in the world and how to align with showing up authentically. And human design helps people to understand the you that they actually are. And I say the you that they actually are because we gather what I refer to often as conditioning through our life. the expectations of the world, the expectations of our workplace, the expectations of our family, and all of those things pile on top of us who we're not. And then we forget the authentic version of who we are. So I love what you said about the sunrise, right? Because the sunrise is this pure energy that comes up in the morning, and it's just unapologetically what it is. And that's what human design is as well. It's an invitation back to that, the knowing of who you were designed to be, the map of who you are. And there's about 2 billion possibilities of what a chart looks like. And that just to me
Wow.
shows how we're meant to be unique. Human design is referred to as the science of differentiation. We're not meant to be the same as each other. We're meant to be different. And there's all sorts of, even though there's 5 main types in human design that we talk about, there's so many variations underneath the hood, if you will, that create the differences of who we are. And it's a mechanical system. So when you talk about you having to wait for the invitation because of your type, um, that's a mechanical piece. It's not a belief. It's a mechanical part of who you are. And if you align with those mechanics, then it shows you in your life and in the results of your life, the impact that that can have.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what drew you to this work?
Somebody shared it with me about 7 years ago, and it was someone that I didn't have a close relationship with. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was abstract. I couldn't really get my head around it. And I just kind of pushed it away for multiple reasons, but it wouldn't let go of me. It kept
Mhm.
showing up and I kept kind of checking it out. And then, as I do because of my design, I started like sharing it with people and telling them about it. And then it was just always off to the side. And I think it was during the beginning of COVID. I did an online course and I met someone who was a human design reader, and she was sharing some different resources, and I bought some of those resources. And then ultimately, over the course of the next few years, it kind of just came and went. And then finally, I decided to look into it and dive right in. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's really cool. What is it? mm, What does it feel like for you? Can people like what is the feedback people give you? Like their results as they move through.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it varies. I mean, there can be a lot of resistance and a lot of confusion about that's not me. That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, I can see
Right.
that. Yeah.
And 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 then that adds this extra layer, which is, well, then we're talking possibly about conditioning. We're talking about, all those things that got laid upon us that have caused you to forget who you really are. And that's the hardest part because, for example, 70% of the population are referred to as generator types. They have the energy to move quickly through the world, to make things happen, they're the builders of our society. And if I reflect on what you were talking about waiting for the invitation, one of the things I say the most is you have to go slow to go fast. I say it again and again and again. You have to go slow to go fast. And this is a reflection of the elements that are a part of human design. There's these ancient elements, the I Ching, the astrology, the Kabbalah, the chakra system. So these things are synergistically working together in this system. And so all the ancient teachings that we know are embedded. And one of them is to not live from our mind and to live from our body and to slow down. So the generators are the ones, to circle back to your actual question, the generators are the ones that struggle the most because they are the most conditioned to be doing and to be initiating and being in action. So when I say slow down, it creates this really interesting perspective change of like, slow down. What are you talking about? I can't do nothing. I can't just wait. And yet when we wait, what comes to us is so much richer.
Mhm.
And so that's the one side. And then the other side is partially what you were sharing, which is, oh my gosh, this is so aligned and it's so affirming as to who I am in the world and how I show up. And knowing that makes me feel it's almost like you get to like land in yourself a little bit more and own those qualities because there's this affirmation that comes.
Well, and it's the authenticity, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, you know, I feel more and more authentic the more I wait for the invitation, the more that this year, my word this year is to be guided,
Hmm.
right? So I wake up in the morning, I'm like, just wait,
Hmm.
you know, just wait. So as a realtor, I'm like, okay, where's all my deals this year?
Hmm.
Where's just so today I go watch the sunrise.
Hmm.
Yesterday I walked the seawall, and
Hmm.
it creates a different life, and all of a sudden everything falls into place. It always does.
Yeah. And what you're describing in human design is referred to as, it's reflected in the Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei. Wu Wei is the action of inaction.
Mhm.
And so it's about being versus doing, about letting life happen instead of making life happen.
Right.
And and the analogy that I love to share is we're meant to be in the back seat enjoying the ride. We think we need to drive the vehicle of our life, which is the metaphor of the car, but we're actually meant to be in the back seat enjoying the ride. And so when you talk about going out for the sunrise and going for a walk on the seawall, it's like those are when we go out and we're just being ourselves. And then spirit can attract to us the things we need to exchange or
Yeah.
engage with on those
Yeah.
experiences. So it's really this fundamental shift that is so subtle and yet so powerful, because when we're enjoying the ride, we're actually putting out an energy that is creating an attraction field.
Well, and I say to people all the time, when I'm in joy,
Hmm.
when I'm in joy, when I'm out there living, I'm not thinking
Hmm.
about all the things,
Right.
right? When I'm down in the dumps, that's all I can think about.
Right.
So I'm not going to
That's so
get any
true.
messages when I'm down in the dumps. My
That's true.
energy's got to be up here,
Yeah.
be feeling that, or my energy's got to, for me, my energy has to be in that place of peace and joy, and that's when everything just flows.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't buy that stuff.
No, you can't. You can't.
People
It's true.
try.
Hmm.
They
And
try.
what happens is that there's a synergy that starts to emerge. I mean, you know that I've only been in Nanaimo for, I think it's about
Yes.
nine weeks now,
Wow.
and 9 weeks, and all I've done in the time that I've been here is like just say yes to the things that are showing up. And one of the things that I've said yes to that has been so, it has really been the core of many things that have come to me, is the metaphysical network and the people that I've met and the things that have come from that. Like, and it's been very much me not taking action, just responding to what shows up. It's beautiful.
See, this morning when we all stood on the beach, we're
Hmm.
chatting and laughing, and it just feels like you've been a part of, all of us for a long time.
Hmm.
And you're right. You just show up and say, yes, please,
Yeah,
and thank
exactly.
you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I hope you keep saying yes, please, and thank you, because you're a lovely addition
Mm,
to our community. So
thank you.
thank you. Is there anything else you want to say in order for like okay, so here's another question. What's gonna
Sure.
happen that night, the night of the 15th?
Well, I'm still in the process of deciding what that looks like, but essentially, I'll be sharing three very important aspects of human design. And those are traditionally referred to as type, strategy, and authority. But really, like type is how you align with your natural energy, strategy is how opportunities come to you. And then um, authority or inner authority is how you actually make decisions. Like, what do I go left or do I go right? And as you said at the beginning, this is very much about a decision making matrix, if you will. In other words, when you're aligned with your energy and when you're using your strategy appropriately, then you know what you're giving your energy to. And so I think we can all relate to having said yes to things that we should have said no to. And so human design teaches us that only 1% of the population, 1% of the population can make decisions from the mind. The rest of us, we make decisions from
Oh.
somewhere in our body. And that shows up in different ways. And so I'll be covering off those three pieces to help people have a broad view of what the different types are and what that looks like. And then, afterwards there's an invitation. They can look up their chart and find out, who they are, and it'll start their journey. So yeah.
So if you get the first two, once you've nailed the first two pieces, you won't need to ask yourself, do I turn left or right? You just turn left or right. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah, it's for some of the inner authorities, there's seven. And of the inner authorities, some of them are in the moment and some you have to wait. So it depends. There's some variation. So some of us need to wait, and then we have to wait some more before we actually step into action.
63. How much time? How much longer do I need to wait?
Right. Well, in all of this, and I think for you as a projector, and just quickly, projectors don't have the energy that the other 70% have. And so for you, it's important to use your energy efficiently. And so part of that is not saying yes to things that you don't have the energy for.
Uh-huh.
Right. And
I'm gonna
that's the key.
I'm gonna watch this every day. Don't say yes. Don't say yes to the things. Yeah, it is,
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed lately that I've been saying no to people, and
Mm-hmm.
then I celebrate
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
I said somebody asked me for something the other day. I said, no, I'm not comfortable with that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I looked in the mirror. I'm like, who are you?
Right.
Right?
Right. Well, and what happens is, if you've ever experienced someone saying yes to doing something with you and then they're grumpy and miserable, then the energy just flips upside down.
Yeah,
Whereas if
I
someone
know.
says yes authentically, then it's like, I'm here, I want to play, like this is
I
great.
know.
And
I
and
know.
so there's such a difference,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that's why it's like we have energy to give, and people are experiencing the benefits of that energy versus being taken down
Mhm.
in that energy. So yeah. There's so
Wonderful.
many layers to it, though.
Well, it's exciting, and I'm sure I'm going to
Hmm.
learn more and more the longer
Hmm.
that you keep showing up in the circle, and I do too.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do you have any upcoming events that you might want to share with us?
I do. I have, so the first one is May 10th, which is next Saturday. I'm doing mini human design readings at the Nanaimo Wellness and Spirit Fair.
Okay,
So,
nice.
yes, so I'll have a table there. And then Wednesday, May 14th, I'm doing a talk at My Inner Harbor, which is all about the patterns that keep us stuck in relation to human design. And then the metaphysical network is the next night. And as you've already introduced that. And then May 31st, I'm in Parksville for the Shift into Action Metaphysical and Psychic Wellness Fair. And I'll be doing mini readings there and a talk at 1 p.m. And then there's a couple more events that are wellness fairs in Courtney, but I'll stop there and just say that go to my website and go to the events tab because all these things are listed there. And my website is rosstayler.com, ROSSTAYLER.com, if you want to look at what events are coming.
Well, that was my next question. And how many weeks have you been here? 9?
Yeah.
Look at you jumping. You didn't wait for an invitation, did you? You just jumped right
Well,
in.
I don't have to wait for an invitation. I just have to wait for a sign to respond to.
I understand.
And
I
so,
absolutely understand.
and that a lot of this got started before I even left Vernon.
Wow.
So I had already like been on all the Facebook pages and connecting, and so it was really great, and it's been a beautiful experience to have that, the amount of community that I found since arriving. It's been great.
And this really is a special place that we live in.
It is.
It
It is.
really is. The energy, the beauty, the
Mm-hmm.
peacefulness, that there's joy everywhere I turn around. I walk the seawall every
Mm-hmm.
day, and it's just glorious. The people I meet are
It
just
is.
some of them are the same every day, and some of them I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
where did you come from? But it's just lovely.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And
Thank
I
you.
think what I love the most is that for so long I just drove through Nanaimo to the ferry. I had no idea all the jewels and gems that are hidden within Nanaimo. I had no idea. So
Yeah.
it's been great to discover those.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Ross, so much for being here. Um, yeah, it's been great, and I look forward to. I think we're going to do this beach thing again next month, I understand.
Yes.
And
So I've been told.
yes, me too. So So, yes, Ross, we look forward to the evening with you on May 15th. And once again, we'll be at the Unitarian Fellowship Hall at 595 Townside Road. We begin at 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Ross.
Thanks, everyone.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Lorraine.
day.